How's it going, guys? Austin Hess here with a DoPanama Special Report. You know, there's a lot of chatter on the streets and abroad about what is going on with the immigration process here in Panama. So of course, I went directly to the experts, someone who we work very closely with him and his companies. And I'd like to introduce my good friend, John Hanna. He is a immigration lawyer with Pols Attorneys and a licensed real estate agent with Keller Williams. John, thank you so much for coming in and taking the time to talk to me in the crowd today.
Thank you, Austin. That's I love your energy. Love meeting with you. What we're talking about today is basically the Friendly Nations residency program.
And there's lots of changes, right? What's going on here, and how will it affect the people that are looking at getting residency in this country?
Yeah, so the Friendly Nations residency program was recently changed. They changed the law. And before I dive into the changes, I'd like to mention sort of what the history of the Friendly Nations program, how it began, and how
why it exists in the first place.
So about 10 years ago, we had a president named Ricardo Martinelli, who at that time was overseeing sort of the construction of the expansion of the Panama Canal. Aside from various infrastructure projects, including the Metro of Panama, various bridges over the canal, highway construction, major infrastructure projects, and all these infrastructure projects required major international construction firms to come from Europe, from the United States, from Canada, from all over the world, and they had all their engineers, and all the engineers
brought in the big boys.
Yeah, I mean, all these people were high net worth, high income, people who worked in these major construction companies, and they needed a fast way to obtain residency, because what was happening is they were coming here as tourists, and because of the very bureaucratic process for immigration here in Panama, they were getting frustrated, and these people were not feeling welcomed here. When they would come to work, because they didn't have work permits. It was very difficult for them to get residency, work permits. It was very expensive, So what Ricardo Martinelli did is he created the Friendly Nations residency program, which was a fast track residency program that enabled these people to get their residency very quickly. Within 3 or 4 months, they had residency, and it was very simple. All they had to do was provide a clean criminal history record from their home country apostille, and they had to set up a bank account in Panama with a deposit of $5,000, and they either had to have a work contract with the company that they're working for here in Panama, or they had to set up their own company in Panama. And so it was very simple, and it was very quick, and it was a great thing, because literally thousands of people came to Panama and got residency here, and these are people with money and economic resources that set up businesses, hired Panamanians to work for them, bought real estate. These are people that consumed a lot in the country, and that really helped the economy. However, so what happened was that lasted for about 10 years, during which all these projects, were being completed. And once the infrastructure projects were sort of nearing completion, then we got hit by the pandemic. And so when we got hit by the pandemic, there was a massive amount of unemployment in the country. And of course, so logically, the government decided that, hey, we need to tighten up on immigration a little bit. And because there's a lot of countries from these 50 countries that are friendly nations to Panama, a lot of those countries were hit hard by the pandemic as well, because this was not just
and people are at a point where they are willing to change it up a lot easier.
So a lot of people were realizing, hey, the economy in my country is not very good. I'm going to go to Panama and see if I can compete, more over there. So a lot of people were thinking, well, if the grass is probably greener in Panama than where I'm at.
Pretty green here, right?
So that's what happened, and a lot of people started coming during the pandemic, or once things started opening up again, and the government realized, hey, we need to make some adjustments, and so logically they changed the law, and so that law comes into effect. The changes come into effect on August 17th. And so what we're going to have now with the new law, the new requirements are going to be that you either have to have a work contract with a Panamanian company. It has to be a formal work contract. You have to get work permits, the whole shebang.
Yep. Which is pretty easy though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, as long as you have a legitimate work contract with a Panamanian company and you're paying, Social Security and you're paying your Panama income tax and all that, then it's all legit. Otherwise, you have to buy a real estate in Panama. Okay, and so the real estate investment needs to be a minimum of $200,000. It can be any real property in Panama. Okay, it could be a condo, it could be a
piece of land, anything.
Whatever type of property you want, as long as it's titled, and it can also be financed with a Panamanian bank. So that's a great advantage. Yeah. So and right now is a great time to buy property in Panama because the market is really, really, really at its low point over the last 10 years. I mean, I think we're at our very lowest point that we've been in a long time, and it's a buyer's market for sure.
That's awesome. And then you just mentioned financing. So as an American expat or a Canadian or European that is looking at Panama as a possible relocation, because it is, we're seeing a lot of people look at Panama right now. With this Friendly Nations visa and these changes, I know that you can get financing, but is that easy to do through the banks? And then also, as an expat, will that same immigration process with the $200,000 purchase, will that work through developer financing?
Okay, so let me answer the first question, which is, can expats get financing in Panama? The answer is yes, they can get financing in Panama. Awesome. However, the banks in Panama, keep in mind, the banks are very, very conservative here.
Yep.
Okay, the Panamanian banks are not like banks in other countries where, they're backed by, central banking systems that have, unlimited funds to lend to the banks at,
We're not printing money, basically.
We're not printing, exactly. Panamanian banks depend 100% on the deposits that they have from clients. Okay, they can't get, they don't, so the banks are very conservative when it comes to lending. And so not only are they conservative about lending, but they're also very conservative about, who they'll do business with, because they do, extensive due diligence on the clients that they do business with. So to answer your question, they can get financing, but it's a process, and it's not something that happens very fast. It takes time to get financing. Usually, to get an approval from a bank, once you've submitted all the documents, you're talking about a few weeks, if not a month, because it goes through like a compliance process and then an approval process from a loan committee at the bank. Basically, what happens in Panama, it's very old school. The application goes to a loan committee. The loan committee meets like once a week, and they all sit down at a big table at the bank, and they pass around this file, and they go, "So Austin Hess, do you know him? Who knows him here?"
Really?
Yeah, that's basically how it works.
Man.
So they ask.
Well, luckily for me, I make a lot of videos, so I'll probably get lots of loans.
So they ask people, they ask around the table who anybody knows this guy, and then they look at his credentials and they look at his income, and they analyze really, is this guy worth financing or not?
Of course.
The bank's not in the business of owning property.
Yeah, they don't want to own property. They don't want to refinance or repossess your home.
Right. They don't want to be in that position. So, they're going to look at the value of the property, and they'll probably loan you max between 50 to 70%. So you're going to put down 50 to 30 to 50% down payment if you're a foreigner. Now locals put down, Panamanians, citizens generally can get loans at 90%. Okay. So if it's their primary residence, and also the loan rates here are a little bit more expensive than what you'd expect in North America or Europe.
So basically, in a nutshell, if you're looking at Panama as a new location, which I highly recommend, the lifestyle down here is incredible. It's best to come down if you're going for this new this visa, not new visa, but these changes in this visa and the Friendly Nation visa. It's best to come down with a $200,000 in your pocket, ready to purchase a property.
If you can, If otherwise, we can introduce you to the banks and help get financing. But
it's also, John said, they want to know who they are, but it's also about who you know. So getting the right attorney, what we're all about at DoPanama is connecting with the right attorneys, with the right realtors, with the right people, because we have a lot of great people in our society, and we have some people that are just not that hardworking, let's say. And our goal John and I have a very common goal is making sure you're taken care of. So that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. Customer service is always our most important factor when we deal with clients, and making sure that the clients are happy and satisfied with the service and with being in Panama. We always try to introduce them to the country and give them the best impression.
Go above and beyond. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. To answer your second question regarding developer financing, there are several developers that do offer developer financing. However, that does not qualify in the law, in the changes of Law 343 for the Friendly Nations investment. Developer financing unfortunately doesn't apply. We're working on that.
Awesome. So more to come on that. That's awesome. Now, people like myself or people that are in the process right now currently with the Friendly Nations visa, are they grandfathered in? Are these applications still being accepted up till that August 17th?
Yeah, so
can you run through that a little bit?
Right now we're pretty swamped with a lot of applications.
I'm sure, yeah.
There's a lot of people trying to get in before the changes in the law. And so we actually thought it was going to be August 5th was the final deadline, and they just clarified that it's going to be August 17th. So,
okay.
So we have a little window there to get still people in, as long as they have all their documents in ready to go. We can process them pretty quickly. We've been doing about, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 a week.
Oh my goodness. So there you go. So if you guys are looking to do this, get on it now.
Yeah.
But also, John, tell me a little bit. I know that there's different visas out there, and we'll talk more about that down the road. Or if you're interested, obviously, in knowing more about those, you can reach out to John directly. But let's just briefly talk about those different visa programs. So
if Friendly Nations doesn't work for you, there's the Pensionado visa, which requires that you invest. The Pensionado visa doesn't require any investment. It just requires that you prove that you have a lifetime pension income of at least $1,000 a month, and then add $250 to that per month for each dependent that you have. So, say for example, you're retired, you've got a Social Security of $1,000 a month. Your wife has Social Security of $700 or whatever. Between the two of you, you totally qualify.
You're good to go. Yeah.
So we do a lot of pensionado visas. Pensionado visas are pensioner visas. It means your pension. You have a lifetime income from a pension of some sort. It can be an annuity. It can be a Social Security. It can be a retirement from the government or from your company. It just needs to be a reliable source of lifetime income that you're receiving as a pension. And that qualifies you. And the advantage of the Pensionado visa is that you also get all sorts of discounts with when you come to
for everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 40 or 50 discounts that you get, and the discounts are pretty amazing. Like
significant.
25%. Discounts on like medical purchases. If you're buying
restaurants. Coming from a foodie.
Yeah, restaurants, entertainment, transportation, airline tickets, you name it. I mean, you get free importation of your household goods and your car. So there's a lot of advantages to doing the Pensionado visa, and that's probably the one that we do the most for retirees. However, the Friendly Nations visa is kind of caught on in the international community.
Of course.
And that kind of became our number one selling program. There's also various other investment programs, such as the Reforestation Investor Visa. That program was just recently modified, and now it was raised from, now it's $80,000, you get a temporary resident visa. $100,000 investment, you get a permanent resident visa for 2 years, or temporary ones for 2 years, and then a permanent resident visa after that. And then there's a $350,000 investment in reforestation that gives you immediate residency. Within 30 days, you can get immediate permanent residency status. There's also what's called the Qualified Investor Visa.
And that's new, right?
Mm-hmm. The Qualified Investor Visa is relatively new. It was passed a few months ago.
Awesome.
So that's a fast track residency program. Currently, it's $300,000 investment in real estate, and that gives you immediate permanent residency status within 30 days.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So like someone that's looking to come down and do some heavy investing in Panama, that is also a great option as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a great option. So yeah, like I said, what we generally do is when we have clients that come to Panama or they're interested in getting residency, we do an interview with them. We ask them a series of questions. We understand sort of where they're at, what they're comfortable with.
Because each person is on the individual basis.
Their own situation. Some people have a family of 10 people. We get clients from India, from Russia, from Canada, from the United States, from all over the world. And what's happening is that there's a lot of people that live in countries that when for example when Venezuela had their huge chaos with Chavez and all that. I mean, there was a massive migration of Venezuelans that came here that had a lot of money. And these are families. I mean, we're processing families of 10, 15 people.
Wow.
And so it's a big deal, especially when you have situations like that. That one time there was a situation with Colombians, a lot of Colombians coming in to Panama because of the crime rates there. And you have now the Peruvians are coming.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And so there's always migration. Panama's sort of like the little Switzerland of Central America. And so everyone sees Panama as sort of like the safe haven, of this region. And so,
and we use the U.S. dollar. We have a great medical system. A lot of people like me that have been down here for so long, I don't speak much Spanish, but I get by very easily because a lot of the Panamanians do speak that English language because of the influence of the Panama Canal. It's just a really great place. And you seem to always find a lot of like-minded individuals down here as well.
True, yeah. It's a melting pot. There's people from all over the world. I mean, we have people from it's
crazy. Yeah, it's awesome. Like you go to a dinner party, you have 14 different cultures there, and everyone's pretty like-minded, and it's just a really neat place. So
it is, and it's a great place to live. I mean, it's every time I travel, everywhere. I've been all over the world, and I've traveled to Hawaii and all over the United States and all over Canada, or different places in Europe,
of course.
and all over Central and South America and whatnot. And every time I come back to Panama, I'm always like, thank God I'm home. So it's such a wonderful place to be, and it's a safe place. It's got a great weather.
All year long.
It's warm, and then we have, the mountains. You get tired of being in the city, you go to the mountains, you go to the beaches, you go to the islands, you go to the lakes, you go to, there's just so much diversity here.
Huge, yeah.
And you have the Atlantic side and the Pacific side, and it's just amazing. And within Panama, we have 7 different indigenous Indian cultures. So with
lots
their own
of
different
unique
languages.
culture here, yeah.
And so there's interesting places to visit, cultures to see.
Huge, massive restaurant scene if you're a foodie.
Right.
And just, it's incredible. And now, John, I know you also are quite involved in real estate. And just real briefly, I respect your opinion a lot. I look up to you. Talk to me a little bit about the real estate market. What do you feel like what's going on, and what can we expect in the future?
Well, that's a great question. And, right now we are at a position in the real estate market where the prices have been devastated because of the pandemic. Panama, the government of Panama, as you know, took the most draconian measures of shutdowns. I mean, I don't know of any other country that had literally 6 months of shutdowns where you're literally trapped inside your house for 6 months.
It was like a movie, literally.
It was like a terrible dream, and and so a lot of companies have been really hit hard here. And a lot of people are in desperate need of liquidity. And so, I mean, even myself, I was out of work. We were shut down for 6 months.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. And so,
tough.
That has really taken a huge hit on the economy. I mean, fortunately, Panama is a very resilient economy, okay? Resilient because of the diversity of our economy. We don't just depend on tourism. We have a very diverse economy that has all sorts of different industries, including shipping, free zone, import, export, the canal, all those industries that revolve around the Panama Canal have created a very good balance for Panama. Versus, like, if you look at Costa Rica, for example, or some of these other Caribbean nations,
they have one or two things.
All they have is like
tourism,
basically tourism, and a little bit of agriculture. And where Panama has like all these different service industries plus agriculture, plus tourism,
banking,
plus banking, import, export, shipping, logistics, all this stuff, ports. I mean, there's this massive industries here, and there's like 170 different multinational companies that operate their regional headquarters here. So we have a very, very good diversified economy, but so as a result of that diversification that we have, the economy kept afloat. Okay, a lot of people are hurting, but the economy is getting back on track now. And so what's happening right now is the markets are, the economy is starting to expand again, it's starting to heat up again, and so we're seeing those prices that were really, really low a few months ago are starting to creep up again. So
right now is the right time. Get in there.
Now's the time to
get
buy.
those deals.
Right now is the time to buy for sure.
Awesome.
It's a great time to buy because we're right at that. If you look at a chart, we're right here at the bottom, and we're right at the point where the chart is starting to go up again. Okay, so it's great.
Yeah, get on the trend. Get down to Panama if you're thinking about coming to Panama. You want more information about moving here, getting your residency. Reach out to John. All of his information is in the text of this video. But John, just give us a real quick some of the ways of contacting you.
You can go to our website. It's pols.com.pa. That's our law firm's website. Or you can go to our real estate website, which is kwpanama.com.
Okay, awesome. And guys, like I said before, this is Austin Hess with a special report. We're here talking with John Hanna. And John, I really appreciate all the good information. I hope you guys out there enjoyed this. Please like this video, share this video, and get on down here to Panama. We'd love to see you, and have a beautiful day. Thanks again for watching.
Austin.